Now, would you?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hall of Famer, Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton. What's up, man?
Not much, man. I'm an
Doing good, man.
Buddy, I'm always good. If I have a bad day, it's my own fault. You know, I just been busy traveling on the road all the time. I never seems like I never stop. But no, man, I'm doing great, and thank you for having me on your show, man, and see what we can come up with today.
No problem, man. Like, where can they find you on social media platform, man?
Oh, man, I'm on Facebook, Ricky Morton. I have a wrestling school of Morton. Twitter, Real Ricky Morton. And then Babyface Ricky Morton. So all you got to do is click those, and I promise you, you'll get a lot of them. All right, cool.
Yeah,
man, you live out in California, huh?
Yeah, I'm in California, man. It's just West Coast.
I was out there not long ago. I was out there. I hooked up with Chavo Guerrero Jr. Had a good time with him out there.
Cool. Oh, that's cool, man. Chavo was he was good. He was a good wrestler, like his uncle.
What's that now?
Like you said, Chavo Guerrero, like his uncle was good too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was up there LA with him. We did a couple of little projects together. Had a good time, man. All right. What's up with you? Let's get this thing rolling here, man.
Oh, yeah. Let's get it rolling, man. Like, what influenced you into getting into the wrestling business?
What's that now?
What influenced you to get into the wrestling business?
I'm from a wrestling family. My dad was a professional wrestler. He's a referee. He was a Marine. He's a drill instructor, Marine Corps. You know, sir, yes, sir. Sir, get your foot out my ass, sir. That's the way it was, but he was a good man. My dad was in the wrestling business, and I grew up in the business, and I'm talking about the hard way, pulling the ring. My dad pulled the ring. We put the ring up. My dad refereed. Being in the business was, brought up in the business. It took a lot. I got to understand the business a lot more. Being with my dad, especially driving with him down the road, going from town to town, because I had 4 brothers, which it was 5 boys and all, and my mama, and my house was really busy. But understand, traveling down the road with my dad in the car, that was some us time, that he was focused in driving, and when I drove, I really picked his mind about our wrestling business and where it was going and how it was going, and that's really the big reasons that I got into the position that I was in, is because I had that, that family tradition thing going on that sometimes, and I'm not trying to change the subject here, but see, this is what, to me, nowadays, and I meet a lot of people in this business, and everybody thinks a professional wrestler, but see, nobody has ever took the time to understand it. A lot of the guys today, you see, they do nice hot spots and they do crazy shit that probably won't be able to walk when they're 30 years old, but they don't understand the business. And that's what's the difficult thing. That's what I like doing, is trying to make guys in our business to understand it. But being that, back to your question, it was me and Robert both. Robert's brother wrestled, Ricky Gibson. And that's how I met Robert when they came to Memphis. And it was a family thing, dude.
Yeah, Memphis wrestling, they had a lot of good promotions there. Then you had guys like Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler and a lot of those guys during those territories. I mean, there was a lot of good wrestling back in those days, right? Like when you had the Mid-South and all kinds of other stuff, right?
Guy, you don't even understand. And I try to explain people about this. And see, and when you talk about this, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about everything in general. Our business has been at the right place at the right time. And when I started in the business, it was right when because the business used to be 450-pound guys that had about as much business being in the ring as me flying the space shuttle, overweight, bum, and your bookers, they pushed theirself. Yeah, they didn't push none of the boys underneath, and that was what was bad. But see, Jerry Lawler, because I started out for Nick Goulas, and it was where he pushed his son, and you got to understand. And when I tell these guys, we ran Memphis every Monday night. You did live TV in Memphis every Saturday morning for an hour and a half, and you didn't have your big cable TVs, all this corporate shit that you got now. You had local TV, and the ratings in Memphis, man, their ratings were better than Dallas. And I don't know if you remember the show Dallas at its time when it was hot. It was the hottest rating show at that time on TV, and Memphis wrestling outrated it every Saturday in the Memphis area. That's how hot that TV was. And guy, you were in Memphis, Tennessee every Monday night, and it sold out. 10,000 people. Now, you stop to think about that. You have WWE and you have AEW, and they maybe come to your city once a year. And I'm telling you the truth, and not unless it's something big like WrestleMania or Summerfest or SummerSlam or whatever you want to call it. They come to your town, but they don't sell out. They don't even sell out now after all the exposure on TV. But Memphis was every Monday night, and you ran Louisville, Kentucky every Tuesday night, Evansville, Indiana every Wednesday night. And off the TV, in which they shoot it live in Memphis, and understand me, it's a bicycle tape. You understand what I mean by bicycle tape? Because it'd show here, then it'd show in Nashville the following week, and Louisville the next week, and Evansville that week. It's like a bicycle. So you had to learn where you were at, especially in your angles. But that was cool because everybody was on the board at, because you didn't have your YouTube, your social media that you could put this shit on and people knew about it. It was kayfabed. It was the greatest shit in the world, man. To come to these towns and watch them, I think Louisville held like 8,000 and Evansville 4,000, but that was every week. It would blow your mind, when the wrestlers came to town. Honestly, Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, and they were the top ones in that area that day, man. They were like, Bill Dundee looked like Elvis Presley. He was like Elvis Presley too, bro. It was really badass. And Jerry the King Lawler, he was to learn and have the opportunity to learn the business from these guys. It was great, man.
Yeah, it must have been great with Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee with those promotions. Then Jerry Jarrett running the company. Like you said, his son was eventually coming into the business slowly. And then you had like when you look towards that territory, like you said, Memphis, towards Kentucky and towards Nashville, that was a territory where you guys had the most sellouts during those days. And you had Dallas win the Texas territory. Like you guys said, you were competing over those guys. Wasn't it called like World Class Championship Wrestling or something?
World Class Wrestling. Yeah, it was the Von Erichs out there. That was Fritz Von Erich that wore that, and you see that's a territory here, isn't it? And see, now I'm going to try to make you understand. Okay. Fritz, his boys were the territory. You understand me? I remember when the Midnight Express first went in there, and Fritz said, "Yo, wait, you're not big enough to wrestle my kids. You need to be bigger." Yeah, but then he learned because Bobby Eaton and Dennis were, at that time, they were together and they was hell of workers. So it worked that way. See, if you went into Dallas, it wasn't about you. Unless you was a heel, it was about the Von Erichs. That's what territories were about. I think Jerry Jarrett and Lawler were the first, especially if you was a heel. You're a heel, brother. You got it made there. If you was a real big top heel, you had you a good year run there, making top money. Like Jimmy Valiant. That's the reason, Jimmy Valiant came in to Memphis and working with Lawler. And nobody ever heard of Jimmy, but Jimmy was such a great worker and such a big heel that, Jimmy worked there for years, back and forth, turning in baby faces and everything. And then you stop to think about this right here. You talked about Mid-South territory. At this time in turn, the business was changing. See, Bill Watts was the top baby face there and Junkyard Dog. But it was mostly Bill Watts because you had two different cultures there. And Junkyard Dog was fabulous. There'd be nobody like him. He was the man down there. But when Robert and I first went into it, so I was a small baby face. Bill Watts worked. He had 6'9" people, guys. Every one of them. I looked like one of the midget wrestlers when I first went there. But see, our business was changing. And at that time, Bill Watts had just beat Abdullah in their angle going on. So they turned Abdullah babyface. Now, listen here. Abdullah's a top babyface in your company. Okay, now, because Bill Watts is bringing another heel in for him to beat Abdullah for Bill Watts to wrestle him. So if you understand that, that's cool. If you don't, one day we'll sit down and talk about that. So here, all of a sudden, Bill Dundee come in to be the booker because Bill Watts didn't want a guy to book the territory and work because he'd push himself. And that was his territory. Do you understand what I'm talking about, territories now?
Yeah,
The guys
sounds more like
understand
the way you were explaining it, like these territories, and it started to evolve more with all the talent, and then it started to be more, like you said, Bill Watts was like one of those other guys from the other territories, and then you had your own guys, and then Jerry Lawler was like your top heel. Bill Dundee was kind of like he was like in between a face, but then he turned heel eventually.
Yeah, you see, but they're the ones that run it, so it was all about them. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But now we're at the era. See, I don't know if you understand, like the attitude area in WWE, times change and involves. Robert and I, and my daddy told me this right here. He said tag team wrestling is going to be what's happening, but there's a lot put into that before that. And Robert and I were right there at that time when it was changing. And you were drawing, and what I'm saying is you're getting new crowds. You having new faces to show up at the business. And especially when Robert and I come into Louisiana, the Rock and Roll Express was shooting videos and showing them on TV before we come in and wrestle. This is a whole new thing for our business. It's not about me. And remember, in the territory, you're only as good as your opponent wants you to be, or you're only as good as how good of a worker that you are. See, and I focused on that, and not about me. I focused on that because here we go. We come in this territory, and all of a sudden, Abdullah the Butcher. I mean, you don't see ladies crowding in coming to see him at a wrestling match. But all of a sudden, you got two All-American little baby-faced guys come in, starching in huts, coming into this territory with the long hair, with the blonde playing rock and roll music, because nobody had music back then. And boom, and here we are. Well, buddy, I mean, it just blew the top off these promotions. And it wasn't because of what we did. It was because we was at the right time, at the right place, man. And it's something in my life nobody can take away from me is seeing a business. Because popping a territory was a big thing, Bo. I mean, going into a territory and popping it, and Robert and I, not only there, but 2 or 3 territories, we did that too. But because we were new, we wasn't the older guys that was out there wrestling, and tell me when you draw, it's like the bar business. When you have lady nights, that's when the guy comes out. We drew a lot of ladies at the wrestling. So when you drew a lot of ladies, here come the guys. You understand me? The next thing you know, you're blowed up. I mean, it's, our first night that we went to Lafayette, Louisiana, and I got there because it was something new that people hadn't seen us there. Showing those videos, I said, and our first night there, I get out of the car, the TV is there. They're interviewing us, telling us that people camped out for a week just to get tickets to come to the wrestling that night. And that blew my mind, man, because that was, I don't know what era you would call that, but it was something that was new to our business. And a lot of the older guys, it was hard to convince them because our business was strictly kayfabed. Our business, because they didn't like, you don't look like a wrestler. Yeah, but boy, we're making a hell of a lot of money, are we? That's what the point is.
Well, when you look at the way how you guys had revolutionized the tag team perspective, like you guys weren't the big guys. You were like the ones who were quick enough to get the job done at times. I mean, a lot of guys who were influenced by you in the business had to do with Shawn Michaels, man. Shawn Michaels got the style from you. Then you had a lot of those other wrestlers. But when you and Robert, like, when did you and Robert knew you had some good chemistry when you guys enter as tag team division?
First night we tag teamed, I knew. Uh, it's something, and then by Robert and I, we have been tag team partners 40 years. This year we're having our farewell tour because my son's coming into the business, and I want to spend the next 2 years with him because at that time he'll be out of college. He still has 2 more years of college, and I won't let him sign with nobody until he get that. That way, you got your see that having your education in this business, dude. What a gift that is, because you're speaking. He's doing that, but that's another day and another story.
Yes, sir.
But it's the first day. I was a tag team wrestler a lot because my dad kept telling me that. I was tag team partners with a guy named Sonny King that really taught me a lot. And if you don't know who Sonny King is, guys, y'all go on the social media here and look him up. Man, he taught me. See, because he's one of the older guys that like me, and being with him, understanding the business. And then me and Eddie Gilbert had a little run together as tag team partners out in Oklahoma for Leroy McGurk. And then we came back to Memphis. And then me and a guy named Ken Lucas. Now, Ken Lucas, I had this said to me many a times, and it's good. It's compliments that we give each other. Ricky Steamboat, somebody told Ricky Steamboat that he was the best babyface ever. And he goes, no, I'm not the best. Ricky Morton is. And I do the same thing. No, I'm not the best. Ricky Steamboat is. But the best was a guy named Ken Lucas that really taught me and made me understand what this business was about. And then when Robert and I, so you got to understand, Jerry Lawler put Robert and I together. They have advertised this, a new tag team coming into the territory, and they didn't have, but when we got there, they didn't have a name. And Jimmy Hart, Jimmy Hart he was there, and he did the rock and roll stuff, Jimmy Hart and the Gentrys. So they're going to put us together. You got Ricky, Robert, R&R. We went through a lot of stuff. And right before we were going on TV, I never forget this, Jimmy Hart told Jerry Lawler, let's call them the Rock and Roll Express. And Jerry Lawler looked at Jimmy Hart and said, that's the worst name I have ever heard in my life. But we need something. We'll go with it. I swear to God. And that's
I mean, the name is good. I mean, what
oh,
I
man,
guess
yeah,
Jerry
but,
must have been blind then, man. But
well,
when you look at the name, it has a catch to your guys' like ring name. Like you guys dress up like how you guys are, like kind of like an Elvis look, kind of, but more prettyish. And you guys were like the more popular to the ladies. They would call you like the teenage blondies, and then Robert would be the other one too. It's like you guys were like the more popular tag team for the females. They just liked you.
Oh yes, and that's what it was about. See, when they bought tickets, the guys bought tickets. and that's what it's all about. It's three things that you want to go in business to that you would never lose money. That's food, liquor, and women. Okay, and I'm just telling you the truth. That's the way it is. But man, but Robert and I, we our business was hush hush, and I'm serious. This is something that goes back into the days, and I know you didn't even ask me this question, but the finishes in our match, everything is hush hush. 9 out of 10 times, you didn't know what you was even going to do until you got in the ring, and the referee gave you the finish. and he'd just say, you guys over. Or, he'd go tell the heels baby faces over. Or, if it was the same thing when I got in the ring and I step in there and the referee say the heels are over. Do you understand that? And then we'd put matches together. I told Vince not to call me. I can't do Monday Night Raw. Let me hang my phone up. I am sorry. And sorry, man. Okay. But did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear a little bit of it.
Yeah, you look here. I'm sorry. It's Vince McMahon calling me. He wants me to make Monday Night Raw tonight, and I can't. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but when you were like competing on Raw and all that, they had you go against the new Midnight Express or something, right?
Well, dude, that was just being called lost in the shuffle. I didn't enjoy my time there. That was in WWF. And I'm going to say this to you, and it's just called taking care of the boys. I never had a contract in the business. These guys, man, look here, you got the guys that are breaking into the business with $200,000 a year contract. My biggest year ever in this business was $125,000. That was ever, and that's the reason I had so much damn heat, because I always fought for the boys. And if you're out there and you're understanding what I said, that I always fought for the boys. That's the reason I was in the bundle that I'm in, because every promoter, I had a lot of FU fights with them, because I stood up for the boys. Pay us our money. I mean, you're living.
Yeah, pay us our money. We earn what we earn, and you put the work out. And then what you
but
did in the business is like, you didn't kiss ass. Like, you put it, like, you made it pretty clear that when you came in the business, you didn't want to kiss nobody's ass, and you call out a few guys who were ass kissers in the business. I've seen a couple of your shoot interviews,
what I'm trying
man.
to tell you is I wasn't a stooge. And there's a lot of guys that tell you that what they did for, all of them kissed ass. All of them got kissed ass to get where they were at. I didn't like that. I remember one time Jim Hurd called me in the office, and that's when he was running WCW. I didn't know. I thought maybe I did something good. He called me in there and he asked me, and he showed a film back of me. He thought I did the Frankensteiner. He goes, "What you doing the Frankensteiner?" I said, "What are you talking about? Look right here. It's the Hurricane Corona." I said, that's called a front head scissors. I invented the motherfucker. You gonna pay me royalties off Scott Snyder doing it? I'm serious. Me and Bobby Eaton did that thing 45 years ago. So, hey, I don't even know. Especially today, I go, I work everywhere, and these guys, they, everything's different than you. So, and learning from my son, they got, it's our days, we talk different in the ring, because they called everything in the ring. We didn't do it in the back. Now they'll tell me we're going to do this jump over. I jump over what? He goes, "Oh, I say, oh, you talk about drop down." So do you understand how our business has changed? And I'm
It's
like
changed over time with a lot of moves, a lot of like stuff they've been expecting.
Yeah,
like in those days, you guys did it very differently.
Yes, we did. And because we had to depend on each other to make a living, we didn't have these contracts. And, I just did a thing with Arn Anderson not long ago, me and him talking. And it's really cool. It's a different story when you depend on each other to make a living. When I wrestled on top, it wasn't because that, I put myself there. I worked my ass off to get there, because it was my version, my view of myself. And I try to tell, this is what our business has got away from. See, I always sewed. I mean, I could do hot spots, but selling and giving Robert the hot tag, that's what made us a lot of money. So if I can make you believe that you're on the front row, that Arn Anderson's really killing me and really selling it the way that Arn's doing it, instead of just flip-flopping like a fish out of water, everywhere, and it don't look real. I see today a guy give a guy a kick in the gut, and he'd do a forward row. In real life, if I kicked you in the gut, you're going to do a forward row. Well, hell no. So that's my version of that, but we depended on each other to make a living, and we worked together, and it made everything so cool.
Yeah, in those days you guys had like some payouts, but it wasn't like much in today's money, it's ridiculous. Like you guys get a good amount of
Yeah.
pay now, but before then you guys had to pay through
Mhm.
like those
Hey,
little independent labor contracts.
some of these made more in a year than I made in 40 years. That's the truth. Okay, but it's all right. That was my era. That's what I liked. It was my time, and I wouldn't take nothing for it. Gosh, man, the experience I got, and I told you earlier I had the School of Morton. Hadn't been there in a while because I'm on the road. It's on Sundays and during the week, but I got to get back there because you know I don't want that old time art lost. I want to pass it on. I passed it on to my son, but he's involved in his things. He's working for NWA, and like I told you, he's still got 2 more years of college. But I think that at one point in our time in our business, we're going to have to go back to something else. You watch TV, man. They shoot a motherfucker out of a cannon, and he'd kick out on two. You you hear me? I'm just trying to, you can't beat him by shooting him out of a cannon. So I don't know, man.
Well, there's a lot of it what goes on in the business, but the one part that you sold the most was more controversial is when you got a beat down from New Jack's Gangsta Crew, man. What was that scene like, man? I've heard a lot of heat going on.
God, different time, different place. So please, please, people out there, don't think. One thing about Ricky Morton is, no matter what you do or who you are, just be yourself. I don't care. I don't care what you do, man. I love you anyway. But this is a time in the early 90s, uh, late 80s, East Tennessee. And then you have the New Jack and Mustafa come rolling in. And do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like in those days, they didn't really like.
It was, they still flew rebel flags. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I don't. And boy, here they come in on TV. A lot of these towns that we wrestled in, it was only one way in and one way out. And I remember Mustafa had a brand new Corvette. Not Mustafa, New Jack. He had a brand new Corvette. And I told him, I said, man, we fixing to shoot these angles here on TV. And it was their ideas, not mine. And I said, well, you can't drive that Corvette to the town. He said, why can't I drive my Corvette to the town? I said, because ain't nothing going to be left of it. These people here think it's real. And they're going to tear your car up. That's what I'm trying to tell him. Okay. So this is Mustafa and New Jack's idea. This is the time when Rodney King got Rodney Kinged. You hear me? Well, they did that to me on TV. And then, New Jack and it, they had so much heat. Oh, my God. It was really scary a lot of times, especially when I was selling, because Marks would come in the ring. And I got to hand it for them. New Jack and Mustafa knew how to handle themselves. But trust me on this, you can't fight 30 people. I don't care who you are. Bruce Lee can't fight 30 people. They're going to beat your ass. And it happened like that all the time. And, and it was a process that we went through, and New Jack, he was my friend, really. And I could talk to New Jack and try to make him listen because, they had to leave here because, I'm wrestling New Jack and Mustafa, and all of a sudden New Jack jumps out on the floor and just beats the hell out of a guy that was on the front row. And I asked him, and people love me who I am. I'm just trying to tell you. And I asked him, New Jack, what'd you do that for? And he said, the guy called him the N-word. Do you understand me?
Yep, he was being offensive to him. But it was like, it's a thing in Tennessee. They always say it all the time.
It's not, but, I was offended by it too, but you got to understand the role he played. But we are characters on TV. Do you understand me? He's that
Yep.
monster, and I told him, I says, New Jack, I'm not trying to be mean because Buddy the Cure was selling out everywhere we're going. And dude, you got heat. They're killing you. Did you expect that guy on the front row to say, "Hey, Mister Black Man, would you get off him?" he, you know, and then it snapped on him right then. He goes, "Hell, I never thought about that." I said, "Listen, if they're not calling you that, you're not doing your job. If they're not
Yep.
throwing stuff at you, you're not doing your job." And you know what? And to the day he died, every time I seen him, and he'd tell all the boys, "This is how I got smart to the business, really smart." By him telling me and put me in that. And I'm going to get back to the Corvette because we shot that angle. And about a week later, I'm driving down the interstate and I see a old, ugly ass van going down the road. And I think it might have had 15 tires on one side and the 14 tires on the other side, right? And it was going down the road like this. And I pull up there and there's New Jack and Mustafa. And I started laughing, and we pulled over. I said, "What?" He says, "Man, they done broke my window out of my car, cut my tires off twice, scratched it all up." And he said, "I took your advice." He gave $200 for that thing.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, but he hit park. He left it up there. Oh, it was funny as heck, man.
Yeah.
Understand me? I love New Jack, man. He was actually my
He was
buddy.
good for he was good for the business. He knew how to piss off people. That's
Oh,
what made New
buddy,
Jack
and even
outstanding. He knew how to
it,
piss
you
the
see,
crap
and
out of
even as
people.
the business changed, where the people started liking the heels, especially up in Philadelphia with ECW, but he fit right in perfect there because he didn't like nobody. You understand me? He went out to the ring and let you know that. But that's the kind of people that attracted ECW. And man, what a row he fit into there. Perfect. He found a home at ECW, and it was unbelievable there for him.
Yeah. Well, I want to get a couple of questions from the fans that they're asking some pretty intriguing questions. Here's one from Notorious Gavin. Rick, what was it like to be a part of the Hardy Cow Pound Invitation Center match? What's your memory from that day and night?
Oh, you talk about when we went to their house and
Yeah.
they put me on a thing. You know what? It's a new thing. It was before they put us into the Hall of Fame, and and we was kind of forgot about except on the independent circuit. But you see, Matt and Jeff, they and a lot of things that you don't know. I watched Matt and Jeff grow up in the business. They were 14, 15 years old wrestling. I know Jeff Hardy. I was on the show with him one time, and I know he wrestled 4 times under 3 different gimmicks. He was Will of the Wisp, and he was Jeff Hardy, and he had another gimmick, and he had another gimmick, and they were just having the time of their lives. And all you guys out there understand, Matt and Jeff, the business wasn't gave to them. I knew them before. They worked for everything they got, and see, what I told you earlier, they was at the right place at the right time. But now getting back to that, Matt and Jeff, that was just a thing of just taking care of us, put you on TV. We went there, and it was different things, and you got to. This is outside. We wrestled Matt and Jeff out there, and God, I think we filmed at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's cold. They're a well digger's ass. You're out there doing it, and then we got these big old rocket launcher things that's shooting them balls out, and you can't believe the stuff because it's nighttime, and we're shooting these cannons at the hills, and we're out there. Then I walk into the building, and I look at Robert up here and Jeff and Matt, and we're all sucked all over us, man. I had to take a shower. But what it was like, it was just so much fun being a part of what these guys created. and that they included us in on it. As the show went off, I'm up on a big old thing stuck up in the air, and I'm hollering at him, "Let me down!" I'm screaming at him, calling him SOBs, and at the last one, I'm going, "Please let me down, please." It was great. I always have a good time with Matt and Jeff. I think Robert and I might be having one of our last farewell matches with Jeff and Matt somewhere, maybe in Raleigh, North Carolina, coming up. But we have one of our farewell matches with them, and I can't wait for that either, man.
Oh man, like it was pretty entertaining when I seen that match. I never thought that would be like something like, it was kind of like something rare, something that I never seen happen before. Like when they
no
came up
crowd.
with that compound, like wow, like it
Well,
was just comedy. It seemed like comedy at first, and then it just seemed like the match at the end.
Okay, but this was filmed at their. See, the matches was over behind Jeff's house. And then the other part was up at Matt's house. And I don't know if you ever been or seen pictures of their places. Holy crap, dude. They got like 400 acres on each. Matt's, they live next door to each other, but they're a mile apart, but they own all the property. Do you understand me? Big lakes, big old houses on it, man. And I'm glad for those guys, but it was so much fun just seeing that and being a part of of looking at all the toys they had. And out back, Matt had a pink car, and and I got to talking to him. And it was his first car he ever had in his life. The ones they drove to the towns in. It was. It's hilarious, but Matt and Jeff had to tell this story, but it was really cool to be a part of them. And and I was saying something to you earlier when we were talking, buddy. I'm sorry, I'm jumping from limb to limb because it just came back to me. We were talking about us being in WWE, and we got off in the contract thing. See, I never made no money, so when Jimmy closed Smoky Mountain down, we didn't have a job. Do you understand me?
Hey, you guys were under contract. You had no money.
No, we had no Smoky Mountain shut down. Jimmy went.
Yeah, they were out of business because 95.
Jimmy,
I think they lost business in 95, and then
yes, and Jimmy went to WWF. Well, he got us a job there. That's the reason we were there. He got us a job, and understand it. I appreciated it. I was at the point where we were lost in the shuffle. They had the things going on with Triple H and Billy Gunn and Shawn Michaels and X-Pac, which was great. Look what WWE turned into, which was great. But I didn't have a job. You understand me? Jimmy Cornette gave me a job. I didn't have a contract, but they paid me so much a week and so much every night that I wrestled. Even if I didn't wrestle, I got paid $500. You hear me?
Yeah, you're an independent contract worker. They
yes.
had you like you will work territories if they have you go on a match, but you're not on contract, so you just go bi-weekly or something.
Yeah, but that's what I did. I never had a contract anyway. But but Vince told us this is we give you $500 a week. Didn't sign no contract. He just told me give you $500 a week if you work or don't week, and then you get paid for the shows that you do. And that was cool because, wow, we was right there where they were traveling. They were doing a lot of shows in England and Germany and Switzerland. And Robert and I got on that tour one time. I had a great time. Me, Robert, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Shawn Michaels on there. Everybody was on it. And Billy, that's when Billy and Bart Gunn worked together. And Robert and I were working with them. And especially overseas, they're off that big TV. Me and Robert Turnhill have a hell of a time. Great matches with them.
Yeah, when you looked at those days when you were working your matches, like when I've See, this one is interesting. Like during the '80s, you had a feud with one of the greatest wrestlers during that time. I thought it was one of the most underrated match that you put on NWA. What was it like to have a feud between Ric Flair?
Buddy, they're in our business, and I want you to really understand this. Our business is based on our characters. I've wrestled Nick Bockwinkel. I've wrestled Harley Race. I've wrestled every world champion there was. But Ric Flair, listen to me, everybody out there, look at me. Ric Flair is the greatest world heavyweight champion ever in our business. And the reason I'm going to explain to you why. Because, you look at your other heavyweight champions. I say this, look at Hulk Hogan. Did you ever see Hulk Hogan go over 8 minutes? No, Mitch, he didn't. Ric Flair, if you paid to see Ric Flair, he gave you your money's worth no matter where you were at and how it happened. I was lucky. And the reason I got to work with Ric Flair is because they were grooming Magnum TA to be the heavyweight champion against Flair, but he had a car wreck, paralyzed him, and they didn't have nobody there. So Robert was hurt one time, but I knew Rick. I worked with him many times, but he watched me in his single match, and he didn't go to Dusty. He went to Jimmy Crockett and said, I got to work with him. He's the only one that can fulfill what I'm doing. And our angles that me and Rick did, everything that we done, it wasn't rehearsed in the back. When I walked out on TV that time and he pulled that bra out and I took his glasses off, and that was, $500 pair of glasses back in, stomped them on the floor. That happened right then. And we just went with the flow. We made it happen. But what I'm getting to is I wrestled Rick. After we shot the angle, I wrestled Rick, I think 17 or 18 days straight. And we did an hour time limit every night. But that was twice on Saturday and twice on Sunday. Afternoon show, then a Sunday night. Did an hour, every one of them. So this is what I'm trying to get to. Rick gave me a PhD in the wrestling business. And I'm going to explain a couple of things here to you to make you understand it. To go out there every night for an hour and give these people every dime worth they paid for. That's what made Ric Flair the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, and no matter what. And let me tell you, Rick was Rick. When you see Ric Flair on TV, that was Rick in real life too. Oh yeah, he's a cocky asshole, but you know what, man? That's why people love him, and that's why I love him. I knew that we were, they're gonna have a match in Nashville, Tennessee. Ric Flair's last match coming up. I was brought into the conversation of working with him, but I'm not. It was an honor for Rick to want to wrestle me, but it's not going to happen. But it's cool though. It's the match they're going to have is going to be real good too. But if the guys would only go back and watch some of our stuff we done. Now, I know I was a big baby face in the business, but when you wrestle Ric Flair, now Philadelphia, I was telling you earlier, is biggest heel town in the world. And then Rick was announced from Charlotte, North Carolina. You hear me? Now, I always went to the ring first. Now, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Philadelphia, but Philadelphia is a whole different era that I want to go to on this conversation, is to walk out in front of these people and they're cheering you like hell. And then all of a sudden they hear Ric Flair's music, Charlotte, North Carolina. Holy shit. They turned on me. I know, but half of them were for me and half of them were for Rick. But what I'm trying to say, 15 minutes, because we're going an hour, 15 minutes in the match, there was nobody in the building for Ric Flair. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
That's what makes a great worker. He done turned these whole people. But my greatest one now is in Philadelphia. And I'm telling you, those fans there don't even like ice cream. They are the main. They don't like nothing. And I meant that as just being a slang thing. But what I'm trying to say is, I went to the ring with Rick. Holy crap, brother. I was called everything that you could ever imagine. They called me that. Rick, come to that ring. Now, 20 minutes into that match, Rick had, and they were bad. Rick had turned his crowd, not by grabbing the microphone and not by saying nothing, just by working. They pushed the guardrails all the way to the ring. And brother, you talking about 10,000 people pushing the guardrails up. Okay, and I'm looking and I'm in the ring and I see the boys are watching. Arn Anderson works his way down to the ring. Robert works his way down to the ring. Now we're supposed to go an hour. I'm taking bumps into the ropes and knocking people off the ring. It's coming through the ropes trying to get to Rick. That's how much he changed. And guys, if you're in this business wrestling, understand what I'm saying to you. You don't got to, but finally, he just told me about 30 minutes in the match. He said, Rick, I'm going to throw you over the top rope and land on the apron and go up the top rope. Because in our days, that was a disqualification. He threw me over. I went up the top because everybody's looking at me. And him and Arn Anderson slid out of the ring and went back through a back door thing. And the police was there to get him out of the building. Now, do you understand what I just told you then? That's what makes a worker in our business. I do a lot of shows and you meet a lot of different personalities. And the guy told me one night, hey, when I go to the ring tonight, the people might cheer for me. I said, they're going to cheer for you because you want them to, not because you don't want them to, because you don't know how to be a fucking heel. You don't know how to play your role. See, Ric Flair knew how to be Ric Flair. And and to watch this master at work buddy, it's hard to really explain to you. But boy, I sunk all this in. That's why I never lost who I was, because I took that with me back, to some places that territories were still going on after I left NWA. Well, when I got my ass fired from there, because why? You need to pay us more money. Y'all buying these jets that we don't need for yourselves. That needs to go to us. You're living in a $5 million house, and I'm living in an apartment over here. This shit ain't happening no more. So I got fired for that. But that's my story. I mean, that's the way I feel for Ric Flair. Because you have to be one of the boys to know what I'm talking about. You say, Bret Hart said, well, Ric Flair repeated it, said, well, hell, he did an hour every night. What did you expect him to do? Come up with an hour different match every night? Not only with me, but he did that everywhere. When he's the world champion, you have to go into other territories and wrestle like the Von Erichs. You got to go an hour with them. You got to go an hour in Portland, Oregon. You got to go an hour up here for Vern Gagne. Go in and wrestle Nick Bockwinkel. Guys that understand our business. Now I'm getting back to what I'm talking about. This is what people don't know in our business. Even the top guys that are in these territories, it don't matter. They still don't understand. They're in a position where they make this much money no matter what. More money than I ever make in 5 lifetimes. But they don't understand the business. And this is what I want to do. I want to get a job at a company where I can just go in and sit down and try to make them understand the angle that you're going to do. The interviews, they walk out there, every interview, I'm going to jerk your head off and shit down your neck. And none of it, you see what I'm saying? Everybody's a tough guy. Everybody goes nose to nose. I'm a tough guy. That's the reason nobody sells no more. But an innocent, little blue-eyed, blonde hair, baby face back in my day, I took advantage of it. All I had to do was sell. And, buddy, make the people see. That's what Nobody believes in them. And it ain't because of Vince doing that right there. It's because nobody takes the time to make the people believe what you're doing inside that ring, the story that you're telling, that the story that you're trying to get over. It don't happen no more. You know, you be watching a match and you get heat on your heels, and all of a sudden the babyface just beats him in the middle of the fucking ring. Well, hell, I mean, where are you going to go now? I mean, you already beat him. You know, it's like I work for GCW a lot. You like GCW?
Yeah, some of the hardcore matches, it seems
Yeah, but you
intriguing
know,
at times,
I
but
do
I
some
like
there
some of the
too.
high fly matches.
Yes, man, they have some great talent there. But see, uh, that's what's good there. And when you're a true baby face, look at me, true baby face.
The baby
You know, you
face, like,
yeah, okay, but listen, if you want to, this is the reason I stay over. You don't want to win, and people don't understand that. I was 9-time world tag team champions, but I didn't want to be a champion because people paid to see me win, not to see me lose. Do you understand?
yeah, you
When
were
the
a good
baby
tag team.
faces when the baby faces are chasing the heels for the belts, but they screw you every night. Do you understand that?
Yeah, they
Okay,
try to
but
cheat
then
on you on the matches,
okay,
and
yeah. Then the next week we're gonna come back where he can't screw me that way, but
yeah,
they'll screw
payback.
me another way. Jimmy Cornette would, and that's why we sold out everywhere.
Yeah,
You
because they
get
wanted to
it?
see that. They wanted to see
Yes,
something
and
different. They didn't want to see the same thing over and over. Sometimes they do that in certain wrestling. They overdo it, but why not just build up a comeback at some point? Like the following day,
we'll tell a
if this guy
story for a
cheats, oh
month.
well, get to the next
Yeah,
type of
you got
match where the guy gets even at this point.
these shows come on every week. Tell a story from week to week for 6 weeks. I promise you to before you fucking beat a heel in the middle of the ring. But what I was getting to, I'm at GCW and I was wrestling a guy there, and they come in and says, "Listen, what finish you want to do to beat him?" And I looked at him. I says, "I don't want to beat him." They said, "What are you talking about?" I says, "Because if I beat him, I can't wrestle him no more. But if he screws me on the finish, it don't hurt me a bit. But I can wrestle him everywhere." And they looked at me and went, "We never thought about it that way." I said, "I did. That's how come I'm 66 years old and I still wrestle everywhere." You know,
You still
because
know the business and you know what's right and
yes,
wrong. So you've been there and
yes,
done it, and you do
yes.
training. So you do like a school training. So you kind of show them the ropes of what it's supposed to
Yeah,
be.
but I'm trying to show them that if you just tell a story, if you keep heat on your heels, that's why I like Matt. He's in NWA now. Him and he's got more heat than a Brahma Bull, but he knows how to keep his heat. And when you know how to keep your heat, buddy, you can really, really, really soar in this business. And I like that. That's my part. This is what I want to do. I want to go to some of these rappers and give me the heel that you want to be a heel. And we're gonna make everybody in the world hate this motherfucker. No
Yeah.
matter
When it's a heel, you got to
no
hate
matter
somebody,
how it
like threaten
is.
his life or something.
Yes.
Like when it's
Oh
a heel,
yes.
you want to hate this guy, but you want to create that heat where, like example, like New
Yes.
Jack, he was exactly the perfect heat in that
Oh
territory you
yes.
guys were in
Oh
because they
buddy.
hated him.
Oh gosh. And you know, and the racial interviews he'd do on TV, bro. I loved it. It was
I thought
great.
the O.J. Simpson reference was kind of like gold
Oh
when he
buddy.
said when he said that part. I was like gold heat right there.
Hey, I was ducking down behind chairs. I'm serious. I love
Oh,
these guys. Go ahead, man. You got another
I don't know if
question
this
for
has
me?
anything to do with you, but this is another interesting question. Rick, I have a question. What do you think of John Cena's 20th anniversary?
What do I think? John Cena's it's cool. I mean, what can I really say? I'm not best friends with John Cena. Do you hear me? I know him.
Yep.
I know that he made a lot of money in this business. And see, I'm one of the boys. So no matter what you're asking me, I'm not going to say nothing bad about nobody because I'm one of the boys.
One of the boys,
John,
you're the
but
baby
see, John
face.
Cena, I don't know.
Oh.
I know him. I met him. I said hi. We talked a few minutes. But John is 20. It's good. I'm glad for him. But the most of all, I'm glad about is because They have to bring back somebody to get the ratings back up. And you have to do it the old style sometimes, okay? That's my biggest deal there. And congratulations, John Cena. But he's done a lot for this business, guys. And he's still there. I mean, he's a bulldog. You hear me? He get in there. He get in there and rough with you, man. That's what you got to see. But I'll tell you this right here too. And you see WWE release a lot of people. Might get a lot of heat for this, but I'm just telling you the reality. You're released because you're not doing your job. They say, well, he's doing this right here. No. Let me tell you something about when you work for Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is a workaholic. So, I mean, you got to put in what he puts in. I know when you get there, you got to get there 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning every day. You have to go over everything. And when you get in that match, and if you drag ass one time, they don't tell you the second time. Do you hear me? So you guys that got released from there, I know that sometimes, but you're going to have to go back in your career and find out the time that you dragged ass and the time that you slacked. Because our business has changed. That's $1 billion company. They're looking for ratings.
And ratings, talent. They look at talent as like what can draw and all that stuff. And if it doesn't draw, they don't care.
No, and I'm not trying to knock you guys, but you look at some of the old dogs that's in WWE and watch them when they perform. Look at Sheamus. Holy shit. I mean, bro, he's a monster. Never slacks up a bit, and he's in his 40s. Now you got these guys in there that are 25 and 26 years old. Brother, you need to take lessons from him. Take lessons from John Cena when they come back, because when you give, some give some, but some gave all. I mean, you got to give all. You have to leave everything that you got in that ring if you want to perform on a level of a top spot in WWE. Just telling you the truth.
Yeah,
that's the way it is. Okay,
that's the truth right there. So before we get into one final question, I wanted to get this one question that got on my head, because I was like looking at your past of your wrestling days, and I never understood why you went on a different group called what is it, the Foundation? What is it?
The York Foundation. Okay, that's another thing. And you got to understand, I always fought for the Rock and Roll Express. And it's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know and don't understand. Robert got hurt, and he was out for a year. Okay, I didn't have a job, but they came to me and says, listen, we want to team you up with Brad Armstrong. And I love Brad Armstrong. I made one of my boys after Brad. But we want to make y'all the new Rock and Roll Express. And I even give you a contract. And I told him no. Me and Robert are the Rock and Roll Express. And they gave me a job. Now, being the York Foundation, you see, when they have nothing to do with you in a territory, when they run out of ideas for you, they always turn you heel because you just lost in the shuffle. Well, this opportunity came up with Terry Taylor. And I don't know if you know Terry Taylor. You know Terry?
Yeah, the Red Rooster character.
Fucking A, but you got to know him personally. He's a hell of a worker. Me, him, and Tommy Rich, and Curtis Hughes with Alexandra York, which is Terry Reynolds. Mm-hmm. We made ourselves into the York Foundation. And sometimes they put gimmicks on you to try to kill you off. But they put that gimmick on us, and buddy, let me tell you, we got it over. We got it over so much they made it stop. You hear me? They quit it because we were the heel. The top heels couldn't work. They couldn't stand what we were doing. And the reason why is because we knew how to work. I was stuck in between a rock and a hard place, a part in between of feeding my family and not feeding my family. I could have got a contract with Brad, but I was loyal to my wrestling partner, Robert. I started this with him, and I'm not going to finish it with somebody else. But I had a job being in the York Foundation, so I done it. And as soon as Robert got better, that's when we left. When he got better and came back, I wrestled him on a show at Capital Combat And that night when it was over, nobody even knew. Me and him left and went to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Never returned to WCW. Okay, that was it. All right.
Yeah, man. Definitely appreciate you on your time, man. I know it's the hour time limit for you,
Yeah,
but I'm
buddy.
gonna.
But I want to say to you, thanks. I love talking wrestling. I love. You just don't even understand how much my love is for my business. The young guys in your business, get a hold of me. I love to come and work with you and show you things. And it's not because you do a good spot off the top rope that is going to hurt your opponent. Stop to think about and take care of your opponent, because none of you guys, you're on the independent circuit. You have shoot jobs. A lot of you are married. You have kids. And what's going to happen if you get in that ring and somebody breaks your damn leg or breaks your neck? Just because you're trying to be in this business or you're trying to impress somebody. Listen to me. Those guys in these business, they know. Okay. You don't got to impress me. If you want to impress me, eat an apple and shit a fruit salad. That would impress me. Everything else I done seen in this business. Keep your mind straight. Don't let nobody tell you what you can do and can't do when it comes to this business. You can do whatever you want to. Just be yourself. No matter who you are or what you do, just be yourself, because I will love you, and I promise you everybody else will love you too. Thank you, man, for having me on your show, bud.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, bro. You take care of yourself, okay?
You too, man.
Bye.